Unicorns Talk is a weekly podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of the human experience, from personal growth to romantic relationships and everything in between. This show is for life livers, life lovers, and life enhancers. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to laugh, love, and learn to maneuver all of life's little messes. Let's go. Hey, my honeys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of Unicorns Talk. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach. I am a licensed professional counselor and a life purpose and relationship coach, and I'm super excited that you decided to join me today. I have really been looking forward to today's show because we're going to cover some topics that I believe are the foundation to happiness in love, in life, and even in your career. This week I'm introducing a new featured segment called Lyrics and Lessons, and I'm super excited about this because I've been sitting on this idea for a while now, really trying to find the ideal platform to manifest it, and it just turned out to be like the perfect fit for the Unicorns Talk podcast. Spirit fingers. So anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about lyrics and lessons later on in the show, but up first is our topic discussion. Today's topic is, where are all the good ones? So let's jump right in. Last week, I was talking to this guy named Myron who works at one of my favorite local Black-owned restaurants here in Texas called Butler's Barbecue. And I told Myron I was going to give him a shout out. So Myron, if you're listening, hey Myron. Anyway, I mentioned to him that I'm a relationship coach, and he expressed that he's not in a relationship, but that he has been looking. And then he said the phrase that I have heard and said way too many times in the past. There aren't enough good women or men out there. So we talked about it briefly, but when I got in the car, I just could not stop thinking about it. I made a post on my personal Facebook page, and one of my friends commented her thoughts about it, which I'll come back to in a future episode. But that made me dig even deeper down the rabbit hole. So today I'm sharing my thoughts on the matter, and I'm giving some tips on how to help you find those missing persons. I want to start off by saying that good is relative. What you consider to be a good fit may not be the same for your friends or for the other people in your inner circle. You have to be able to avoid the temptation to use someone else's good measuring stick to determine what good is for you. All right. So there's 2 questions I think you have to ask yourself about your dating patterns that could really hold the key to meeting more suitable dating prospects. Where are you looking, and what are you hooking? Okay. All right. Before I met my husband, I had a series of, we'll say, unfortunate relationships, and they were really draining on my time and on my energy. I never really had a problem meeting men, but what I realized is that I never really met anyone who was interested in the same things I was, except for this poet that I met at a reading I went to, but that turned out to be an absolute disaster for more reasons than I have time to discuss here. Anyway, growing up, I was involved in the youth group at church. And so one of the adult moderators for the group, she was like just this amazing woman. And she was kind of like everybody's auntie. We always wanted to be around her because she was just loving and nurturing, but she was like down to earth at the same time. Well, one day I asked her why she never got married and why she never had kids. And she said it was because her career took off and it just never really happened for her. I was about 14 or 15 years old at the time, and those words really stuck with me. It actually kind of instilled fear in me that maybe the same thing would happen to me. I have always wanted to have a family of my own. Not necessarily like the white picket fence with the husband and 2.5 kids and a dog kind of life, but definitely the husband and kids part. But it was equally important for me to have like a thriving career and to be able to see the world. I decided on that day that I was never going to allow myself to get so wrapped up in my career that I never gave myself a chance to have a family. I am really good at my job. So as the years rolled by, my career kind of naturally took off. And so around my late 20s, it became more evident to me that I might not able to see my desires for a family really come to fruition. I think subconsciously I started backing down from my career advancement, and I really started settling for men who were not on my level. And this ended up causing me a ridiculous amount of headache and a ridiculous amount of heartache. I was going to say that it was unnecessary headache and heartache, but when I look back on those relationships, I think I can understand that those experiences served a very important role in my life in terms of getting me to where I am now and who I am now. Anyway, when I was approaching 30, I realized that there was so much about the world that was still a mystery to me. I also realized that I had absolutely no idea about who I truly was and like where or who I really wanted to be. So this really kind of started my journey of self-discovery. In 2012, I decided to create a to-do list instead of making a New Year's resolution because nobody keeps resolutions anyway. This list consisted of about 10 things that I've always had like an interest in, but I never really tried. So I started checking things off that list. Traveling to another country was one of the things on my list. And fortunately, I had a job that allowed me to be able to do that. So in 2015, I signed up for my very first international assignment to Cuba. And I met my husband my very first full day there. Now, my husband is not perfect by a long shot, nor am I or our relationship. But what I will say is this. This is the first relationship that I've been in where I know that I can be authentically me and not have to be afraid of running him off. Okay? I'm sharing my story with y'all today for two reasons. First, I want you to know that I understand personally what it is to really want to be in a healthy relationship so badly and feel like it's never going to happen for you. I have been there and I know that it's not a good place to be. Secondly, I really need for you to know that it's not too late and that it starts with pursuing your own life fulfillment and your connection to yourself. As you explore who you are and really begin to indulge in the things that bring you joy, the one will be there waiting for you along the way. People used to tell me all the time, you have to go to the places where men are. So I did, even if those places were not where I wanted to be. So what I found were men that were not right for me. The reality is that potential spouses are like American Express cards. Everywhere you want to be. My husband laughs at my corny jokes sometimes. Anyway, I say go out and live your life. Find your purpose and take a chance on making yourself seen. Truly, deeply seen. When you meet new people, try to tame that ticking of your biological clock and really look for connection that goes beyond the surface. Create a list of about 5 to 10 of the most important non-physical characteristics that you're looking for in a mate and see if that person fits the bill. It's important that you make yourself open to diversity in terms of the package that these characteristics might come in. You say that you want someone who is considerate and caring and interested in saving the world like you do, but you keep choosing assholes who only think about themselves, who you met at the bar simply because they fit the physical profile that you're attracted to. Now, clearly, physical attraction is extremely important in a romantic relationship, and it can grow over time, especially when there's a deeper connection there. Explore your options as you venture out to save mankind, but don't waste your time on something that you know is not going anywhere. Be open, but don't sacrifice on your core needs. It's okay to have fun with the ones that don't necessarily meet those needs, but take heed to not get caught up in the process. Okay? All right, so that's all I got for y'all today. Again, today's topic was where are all the good ones? Listen, they're out there. They are definitely out there, and they're looking for you too, okay? And y'all are going to find each other once you figure out what good means for you and pursue your own happiness. And they're going to be right there waiting on you, okay? All right. Coming up next is lyrics and lessons. It's time for lyrics and lessons. I'm going to give you the lyrics to some of your favorite songs and talk about the lessons we can learn from them. Today's lyrics come from Arie's Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. This song was released on her platinum-selling sophomore album, Voyage to India, and just happens to be one of my absolute favorite songs. Before we get into the lyrics, let me tell you a little bit about India. First of all, she is one of my top 3 favorite artists of all time. I absolutely love her. To her credit, she has 21 Grammy nominations, 4 Grammy wins, and over 10 million albums sold worldwide since her debut in 2001. I had an opportunity to see her perform live once at the House of Blues in New Orleans, which I think is the perfect setting to see her because it's so intimate. Seeing Arie perform live was one of the 10 things on my list of shit to do in this life, but she hardly ever comes to New Orleans outside of Essence Festival. I mean, I don't really have a problem with Essence. I'm more into like the empowerment conferences that they hold during the day, but when it comes to the concerts, it gets to be a little bit too much for me sometimes. But anyway, I was super excited to buy my ticket and see her at the House of Blues. The energy was just surreal. It seemed like everybody in the building had been waiting just as long as me to see her live, and we loved it, and I think she felt it. Her spirit resonated with every note, every lyric, every sing-along, because we were all singing along, and she was so surprised by that, which I don't know why, because she's freaking awesome. But anyway, this was hands down one of the most memorable and meaningful experiences of my life. And for that, I will forever be a stan of Arie. Side note, I always thought that her parents were Ashford and Simpson, but I'm not sure where I got that from. I mean, I've been telling people this for years, trying to convert them into fellow India stans. But when I was preparing for this episode, I learned that her father is actually Ralph Simpson, who's a retired NBA and ABA superstar from the 70s. And he's now a minister. So once again, Google saves lives and podcasts, apparently. All right, so here's how this is going to work. First, I'm going to read a few lyrics from the song. Not every lyric is going to be shared, but mostly I'm going to focus on the parts that we can draw lessons from. Then I'm going to highlight the lessons and move on to the next set of lyrics, and so forth and so on. So let's get started. When I was reading over this song, Strength, Courage, and Wisdom, it seemed to me that each stanza related to one of the characteristics in its title. So I've organized the lessons based on those characteristics. First up is courage. The lyrics read, "Inside my head there lives a dream that I want to see in the sun. Behind my eyes there lives a me that I've been hiding for much too long. 'Cause I've been too afraid to let it show, 'cause I'm scared of the judgment that may follow. Always putting off my living for tomorrow." In order to evoke courage, we must first accept vulnerability. Because according to researcher Brene Brown, vulnerability is our most accurate measurement of courage. In her TED Talk called The Power of Vulnerability, which has gone viral multiple times over, she describes what she calls wholehearted people. She says that these are people who have a really deep sense of love and belonging. She says that wholehearted people believe that vulnerability is necessary in order to achieve true connection in life. I think this includes connection to self. It's not uncommon for people to struggle with vulnerability, myself included. I have been very open about my vulnerability journey in recent years, which is a direct result of me having the courage to acknowledge and confront my issues with showing myself unapologetically. Brown says that to have courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. Putting yourself on display and owning every aspect of who you are, good, bad, and ugly, is the only way to true happiness and contentment in our lives. India talks about the dreams that she has, and she talks about her authentic self that she's hiding because she's afraid of what others will have to say. Know that showing yourself deeply is not going to be easy. Some people don't want to know the real you. They're comfortable with the facade that you've presented for so many years. It's okay, and sometimes it's necessary, for the people closest to you to be able to give you feedback, or for them to be able to let you know that they're not happy or displeased with the direction that you're going in. However, anyone who cannot accept you for who you truly are at your core is irrelevant to your journey. That doesn't mean that you love them any less, and it doesn't mean that they love you any less. But you are the only one responsible for your happiness, and you owe it to yourself to have the courage to find it by exploring and living your truth. Up next is Wisdom. The lyrics read, "Behind my pride there lives a me that knows humility. Inside my voice there is a soul, and in my soul there is a voice. But I've been too afraid to make a choice, 'cause I'm scared of the things that I might be missing, running too fast to stop and listen." Personal wisdom lies in your inner voice. I once asked a young client of mine that was dealing with depression if she ever talks to herself. She looked at me like I had 3 heads, and she said, "No, I'm not crazy." I chuckled. We have to be able to trust our inner voice to lead us in the right direction. The only way to build that trust is to communicate on a very regular and consistent basis with that internal voice. I believe that India illustrates this in the notion that her voice has a soul and her soul has a voice. There is an internal dialogue that takes place within each of us, whether you are aware of it or not. For most of us, this dialogue is filled with a negative mean girl. Who do you think you are? You can't do that. What makes you so special? Kick that bitch to the curb, because inside of you also exists a bestie. It's just harder to hear her sometimes because there's so much shouting going on. Your bestie is there encouraging you and guiding you into being the best version of yourself at any given moment. We spend so much time trying to be what others want us to be or being afraid of missing out. It's important that we slow down and be still so that we can hear what our inner bestie voice is really saying. Her guidance may not be popular, but it is wise, and more often than not, is what's best for you. Following your inner voice does not guarantee that life will be easy. If you're looking for easy, you are setting yourself up for failure. Fulfilling is what we need to be in pursuit of. And listening to the wisdom of your inner bestie is definitely necessary in order to get there. And that brings us to strength. Our lessons for strength are actually repeated throughout the entire song in the hook and in the chorus. It reads, "It's time to step out on faith. I've got to show my faith. It's been elusive for so long, but freedom is mine today. I've got to step out on faith. It's time to show my faith. Procrastination had me down, but look what I have found. I found strength, courage, and wisdom, and it's been inside of me all along. There is strength in vulnerability, and there is strength in listening to your inner voice. Once you are able to show yourself and rebuild the trust with your inner bestie, you have to take action by stepping out on faith to correct the things that need adjustment and use your gifts to your benefit. This requires a great deal of strength. As I said before, people in your life may not be open to your change and your newfound strength. Family, friends, and coworkers, they're used to you being a certain kind of way. You might face new obstacles that you have to figure your way through. But the beauty is that you already have everything you need to get there. Granted, you might need to recategorize some skills or find new ways to manage them to work to your advantage. Or you may need to add to what already exists. Either way, taking a chance on you is the only way to get to where you want and deserve to be. Call upon that strength and build on it constantly. Never be afraid to put it on display. Finally, there's appreciation. The very last words of the song are, I say thank you. Being appreciative of where you are and what you have overcome is extremely powerful. It requires strength, courage, and wisdom. You must have the strength to withstand your past, present, and future, the courage to confront it head on, and the wisdom to learn the lessons and apply them. Be thankful for who you are, where you are, and where you are going. The journey will not be easy, but trust me, it is worth it. That's it for today's lyrics and lessons with India Arie's Strength, Courage, and Wisdom from the album Voyage to India. If you never heard the song, head on over to my website, LatriceSampsonRichards.com. I'm going to post a link for you to check it out. Thank you so much for joining me today and tuning in to episode 3 of Unicorns Talk. I really enjoyed y'all today, and I really appreciate you for coming back and, just listening to me talk and stuff. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to next week. Once again, my name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach. Make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards, Twitter at LSamRichards, and head over to the website, LatriceSampsonRichards.com, to find out more information about me, if you want to work with me, if you want to book me or anything like that, or just to say hey. Okay? So that's it, and until next time, be well.